old enough to experience it yourself or not, but right now in this moment, and for about the next 59 minutes, you and I are in the year 1994. It's the release year of PlayStation and Amazon. It's the debut year of the TV show Friends. It's the year where celebrity court cases created the landscape for public entertainment. Tonya Harding won a gold medal, disputedly. Grunge was rock, and movies were blockbusters. Later throughout this episode, we will illustrate some of the iconic movies released in '94, but the main focus is the #1 horror blockbuster of the year. What scary movie took the cake at the box office? The answer to that question is Neil Jordan's horror fantasy, Interview with the Vampire. Adapted from the 1976 novel of the same name from the late great horror legend Anne Rice. If it's your first time here in '94, you'll start to understand why this flick became #1. Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas, and Christian Slater, all in one movie? Not to mention it was the breakthrough role for Kirsten Dunst. I don't know if Blockbuster properly describes the insanity of this casting. This is a dream team. Not to mention the source material from Anne Rice is flawless. This movie is sexy, provocative, and at moments creepy as hell. And over the years it has become a staple within the genre. And look here, all those fellas out there listening, if you're trying to find yourself a lady that's into horror and all things creepy, let me give you a helpful piece of info. She's into Anne Rice. So, I am aware that we have viewers and listeners from all over this world. I want to take this time to personally thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. And without any further introduction, here is our take on Interview with the Vampire. Boom! Welcome back to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey, and back again for another week, clapping them ass cheeks, the best producer in the whole entire world, Mr. Ozark Mark. Mark, how you feeling down there?
You want me to lie or tell the truth?
I always want the truth.
Good, I'm fucking tired, my body's sore. I want to jump across this table and injure you. But I'm just being honest.
Why would you want to injure me?
Because I'm angry as shit, and I don't know why.
Why would you want to injure me?
I don't fucking know, because you're the nearest living thing. Kind of like what these vampires do. Hey, you just see that? Anyways,
I see what you did.
You wanted me to be honest, but I'm still here for all you dingleberries out there listening to this motherfucking podcast extravaganza that we got right up in your ass today.
Mark,
that's
people,
right.
They're here for you, and I'm here for you.
Well, you know.
We would fight people for you.
Thank
We're on
you.
your team. We're Team Mark.
Aren't they just wonderful people?
We're Team Ozark.
They have very poor judgment. But we are here today. We are here today in the second episode of Jam It Up in Your Box Office, right? That's correct.
That's right.
With a banger from not 84, which we did last week, correct? Now we're in 94. And this is quite a banger. This is quite a banger.
It is, dude.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to be quite honest with you, and I'm not saying this in the derogatory sense. I'm saying this in a correct way. For a movie that's kind of gay, it's a great movie.
It is, though.
Like, you know, because it is kind of gay. There are moments where you're like, is this about to get gay?
I thought it was gonna get gay multiple times.
No
but it's
judgment.
Cool. But it's cool because they balanced it out with titties.
And they did. And they are vampires. Like, that's like just, they get, you know, that's what they do.
You know, vampires in the 1800s, they were a little gay. That's okay.
Yeah. There's no judgment. I don't care what they were, but I'm saying I'm not gay, so I don't always watch gay movies, but for a movie that borderlines almost gay, it's an incredible flick. But we're going to get into all that.
It's a good movie to watch with a broad because, you know.
I did.
Like, all right, broads get freaky when you put on some seductive gay vampires, especially when you got the Brad Pitties and, you know, Tom Cruise. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So you put those two together with weird girlish makeup and long hair and those old 1800 outfits, speaking some weird shit, it gets the curtains wet. You know what I'm saying?
They're like,
it does.
Brad Pitt
stepped on set like, hey, what's my job? They're like, look beautiful and brood the whole movie.
Yeah.
I can do that.
It's perfect too, you know what I mean? Because like,
worked.
what's the take on average people to get freaky and get to completion? At least one of you, about 10 minutes. Okay, let's be honest.
Sure.
It's about 10 minutes. That's average. That's generous for some people. But hey, you know what I mean? Good thing this is a 2-hour-long movie. So you got a nice little break in there between to get a little freaky and get back on. It's perfect.
You can have snacks in between, dude.
Oh, absolutely. You just get hydrated with a nice Gatorade.
Oh, yeah.
And you won't even be out of the 1700 story yet. So this is great.
Seriously.
It's not good to watch alone, though, which I had to do. But, you know, you got a broad
Yeah.
or dude, you know, whatever.
You know what's really funny, though, because I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm going to rewatch this movie. I don't
My
know.
wife.
Yeah, I was like, I said, I don't know if you've seen it. She said, yeah, I've seen it. And I said, okay. And then I didn't know if we'd have the opportunity to watch it. I worked kind of late today, got home a little later than I thought, threw it back on, and my kids were actually being peaceful and playing with themselves, you know, just hanging out upstairs, just playing together, just having fun, you know, and that's rare, dude. Like if 5 and 13, like, and they're just peaceful. And she just snuck down here, watched this movie with me, and she hung out.
Yeah.
And she watched this flick, and you know what she did? Act like she never seen it before. She's like, and it like just, I don't think she had ever seen it before, and she was sucked in, dude. And it like, I don't know about you or what anybody out there listening, whatever movies are like in your top 10 or like your goated movies that you've just watched so many times, if someone comes into your life and has never seen it and they are just like hooked into it, you get hooked back into it. It like rewires your passion for it because you're so used to it. You're just watching it as comfort at this point, but this person's like, what's happening? And you're like, oh, you don't, oh man. You just get back into it yourself.
And it's drama filled to the key.
Mm-hmm.
And that will suck you in. All right. Plus, there's some great acting, too. So
All across the board. So, folks, here's how we're going to do it. We got a few things. You know, we stay on task here on our show. We stay on pace. But first things first. For all these people watching on YouTube, if you guys could subscribe, it would mean the world to us. It's completely for free to do.
Do it.
And it helps spread the word. You guys can get the notifications for all of our new videos that come out, generally every Monday.
Who wouldn't want that?
Right. And if you're an audio listener, man, if you could just open up your phone and, or your computer, give a nice 5-star rating, help out the Sloppy Horror Podcast, or just tell a friend that you know that's into this shit. Make your work friends listen to it. That's always funny. And hey, maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe you're like, look here, dude. I've already done all those things, and I'm trying to go to the next level. I'm trying to take it to another level.
Another level.
Well, you can go.
This motherfucker trying to level up.
You can take your little happy ass to patreon.com/sloppyhorror, and what you will find there is a plethora of bonus episodes, and there are so many, I can't even count them. I don't even want to count them. You can count them.
There's like 50, 60 of them.
For as cheap as $3 a month.
That's a lot of hours of entertainment for your ass.
Yes, but it helps us keep the lights on around here, and it's nice. And if you want to go further than that, you can check out our merchandise. The links are in all the descriptions. You can get a hoodie, get a t-shirt. We can get all that stuff. But Mark, I know that I'm going to ramble. I tend to. It's just something that I do.
You? Never.
Well, that's why I got a microphone here. It works. It just helps. It helps. But we got to lay things down, dude. We got to do it correctly. And I think we should just fill some shoes first.
We about to fill them shoes. We about to fill them shoes. Yeah, I'm about to fill them shoes. We about to fill them shoes. Shoes. Your shoes are empty, but that's okay because it's about to be filled up.
Just open up them laces.
Filled up. Yeah.
All right, boys and girls. If if it's your first time, if we got a first timer here, here's what's happening.
Fill it up with some stiff socks.
Movies, they age. Unfortunately, they age, and sometimes they're still very watchable. But I think it's fair to put yourself in the shoes of somebody and the age or the year that movie came out in. So if you're going to watch a 1975 movie, well, look up some 1975 facts. What was happening in the world? What were people afraid of? What were people doing? What was on the mind? Yeah, because fears change. So that's what we're going to do for today. All right. And the movie, Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with a vampire.
Interview with the Vampire?
The interview with the vampire.
Yes.
This
Interview with the Vampire.
Should we just go through all the voices, see which one does best?
Interview with the Vampire.
Damn it, I was going to do that. That was my next one on there.
Interview with Vampire.
And with an interview with a vampire.
Interviews with the Vampire.
Interview.
How about the people pick? The people should pick.
I don't know. Somebody, just do it whatever voice you got. They all work.
Yeah.
They all really work. So, you just choose whatever fits your thing. Anyway.
I kind of like
go.
the German, though. The Interview with the Vampire. Yeah? Yeah, he was spooky, scary. Yeah. He came in here, he beat me neck.
Jeez. He
Okay.
did not done you, though.
So,
They ate a lot of rats.
the date of this movie.
See? No, wait, that's Mexican. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
9?
9, yeah.
You gotta say it. Interview with the vampire!
Now that's it.
There you go. That's it.
November 11th, 1994 is when we were blessed with this movie. All right? It is when we were blessed with this movie. And there was a lot of stuff going on. And just for a little reference here, remember how this is another one of those years, like 84? I'm hoping this happens this year. I hope movies that end with 4 get badass movies. Because
4.
84, obviously, we're not going to go into that again. But we know there was a lot of great movies. I can
Sure.
say that to sum it up. 94, the same fucking way, dude. And I think it's really wild to take a look. All right, so this movie had a budget of $60 million, took in 223.7, so almost 224. What's wild is Ghostbusters brought in like 294. So it made a little more, Ghostbusters did, in 84. So pretty wild to think about the difference there. So we obviously are battling these two movies. So for those of those curious, that's what was happening. Take a guess of what the number one song was. It is one of the most, think of love songs, R&B love songs from the early 90s. It's like the one.
What is love?
That's not,
I don't know.
that's not R&B.
Yeah, it is.
No, Mark, that's like club, that's like club dance music. That's like 90s dance music, house music.
Oh, wanna fall in love. Is it that song?
No,
I have no fucking clue, dude.
it was Boys to Men. I'll make love to you.
How's it go?
I'll make love to you
Oh, really?
when you want me to, and I'll hold you tight,
That's great.
baby, all through the night.
That's great. What do we got next?
You remember that though?
No, I don't.
Bro, stop playing games.
Does it look like I listen to that?
You don't know Boys to Men?
Does it look like I have sexual intercourse with somebody who listens to that? No.
Boys
So
to
I don't
Men.
know. No. I don't listen to boys. I don't listen to men.
They
I don't
became
listen to
men.
boys that become men. So no.
Well, I don't know if they became men. They were in the process, Boys to Men. We were in the process with them. We were listening to their transformation.
Whatever. Next, we got that. What else we got?
All right, don't run through it. These are good things, Mark.
That's great things.
These are
but,
good things.
and we only got the toes filled. What else we got?
The movies at that time.
This is the interesting stuff here.
The movies at this time are pretty bananas. I'm just gonna give you kind of top 20 what was happening. Wes
Holy
Craven,
shit.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Pulp Fiction,
Oh God,
Forrest Gump,
that's a big one.
Little Giants,
Oh my.
Shawshank Redemption,
Holy shit.
Natural Born Killers,
Nice.
Little Rascals,
God damn.
The Mask.
Holy shit.
Bro,
Dude,
that's a year.
That's like
That's a year.
Dude, that would be every one of those movies would be in my movie collection if I had one.
And that's a year. We have a lot more access to content now, but we don't have more originality now.
No,
I
not
just
at all.
named and that's I'm not.
Those are all original movies too.
I know, man. That's a little wild. And then the album, the Jurassic Park was also still in theaters at that point. But albums that dropped that year, okay, you've got Super Unknown Soundgarden, you know, that's fucking Black Hole Sun. You have Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. I mean,
pretty much every rock band that's played on the radio still came out.
The Crow soundtrack came out. That was really intense. That had a lot of good stuff. But not only was all that going on, the year was pretty wild, if you remember. If these memories aren't necessarily striking an exact date, let me tell you things that were happening in 94.
Well, I was like 3 years old, so.
Bill Clinton got his dick sucked.
Good for Bill.
All right. That's what was happening.
I know.
I remember that.
Who
I remember
doesn't?
my mom listening and dad listening to that on the radio.
What's the big deal with that? Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? This was the O.J. Simpson trial.
That's a big one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The first World Trade Center attack, the bombing.
Jesus Christ.
It's the year Kurt Cobain died.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You want to know? Take a guess. So, it's 1994. Who won the NBA Finals?
The Lakers. Boston Celtics.
No. So,
I don't know.
the Bulls won every year, essentially, except for those two when Jordan left, and it was the Rockets that won this year in 94 because Jordan was playing baseball. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Your Super Bowl champs were the Dallas Cowboys. That's when they had Aikman and,
Yeah.
That's when they had the boys. They were throwing down.
Mm-hmm.
The Rangers won the Stanley Cup. But guess who won? Guess who won the 1994 World Series? This is a fact you'll never guess.
Arizona Diamondbacks.
You know what the answer
Pittsburgh Pirates.
is? No, I'm not going to waste your time. The answer? Nobody.
What do you mean?
There was a player strike.
Okay.
No World Series.
Huh. Oh, well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't care that much.
I know. It's just
like,
kind of a weird fact.
the
When I was
World
looking down the line, I was like, oh, yeah, I
World
forgot.
Series last year was like the lowest rated World Series or something for viewers or something. It was horrible. I don't think anybody cares about baseball anymore.
Well, baseball's coming back.
Because they got the pitch clock helps.
It does.
Damn sure. And sports betting, so that's just going to make anybody watch it. So
It does.
it's no longer America. It's America's pastime, but it's past its prime, if you're asking me.
Let them
But
juice again.
I'd rather watch that ice hockey football thing they got over in Germany. You see that?
No.
Dude,
not hip.
it's like football, but they're playing it on an ice hockey rink with no skates, so they're slipping all over the place. It's hilarious. It is hilarious.
No, I do like some hockey now.
But it's
do
like
to
hockey
watch.
and football mixed. It's hilarious. Anyway, wow, that's a lot of facts for 1994. My shoes are filled.
Yeah, it's pretty filled up.
I'm
I think
laced
that's
up.
about as filled as we can get, honestly.
I'm laced up, ready to go.
That's the best we can do.
Bo-do-bo-do-do.
Mark, we should do a little synopsis, don't you think?
There's not we, it's you, but yes.
Well, I think
Do I look like a horror nerd to you?
no.
Do I look like I could give a solid synopsis of this 2-hour-long romantic, vampire-ish, whatever the hell's going on here with two dudes and a child? No.
That's a very good point. That's a
Yeah.
very good point.
Let me hear you.
I would like to hear your synopsis for it like one time. That would be like really funny.
No, I'm not doing it.
I would.
All right, let's sum it up.
No. I'm gonna do it
Yeah,
prolifically.
see, you don't want that.
Yeah,
you don't want
all
that in your life.
right. I do. I would like to hear it though. It'd make me laugh. But the reason that I want to segue here is Interview with the Vampire is an Anne Rice novel, and Anne Rice, she died. Novelist. She was born in 40-something, passed away like 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. Rest in peace. But she wrote, the Vampire Chronicles, I believe is what they are called, and Queen of the Damned. I think you probably remember that one. That
Nope.
with Aaliyah.
Nope.
Korn did a big song for it.
Nope.
2001-ish, 99, 2001.
The Queen of the Damned. Nope.
Mark is just being stubborn.
I'm just uncultured, dude.
He's just being
I
stubborn.
don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
But a lot of people do, so you got to continue.
Yes. That being said, she is a legend in herself, just making these erotic vampire books that are also violent as shit, and they're really rich with characters and stories and all of these things. So we have to give props to her and her story and her place in this. But here's how this movie starts. So we have Brad Pitt's character, who is Louis, And Louis is a vampire, and he is sitting with Christian Slater, who is, he's interviewing him. And Louis goes to tell him the story of his life of being a vampire, and it's a long story. It starts in like 1791. I mean, it goes all the way back, and he tells how he was kind of a wild guy in his regular life. He walked on the razor's edge, if you will, laughed in the face of danger, like Simba. Well, he fucked around and found out, and Lestat, played by Tom Cruise, another vampire, turned him into a vampire. And this turned into kind of like a weird friendship, because Lestat wanted to make Louis a killer, and they wanted almost like a partner in crime. Like an apprentice sort of deal. But Louis, for some reason, even though he had become a vampire, he still had a lot of morality to him. He still had a lot of feelings and the emotions of a human, almost. He didn't want to kill people. He was trying to pull the Twilight. He was trying to eat animals. He didn't want to do that. Well, eventually, he succumbs to it, and the first person he takes out is a mercy kill, and it's a little girl. It's played by Kirsten Dunst. She was little in this movie, and she was a vampire, or she was a little girl sitting next to her dead mother, and she seemed helpless, and it was almost like a mercy kill. Now, he didn't have to kill her, but it was like a plague-ridden town. Like, this girl had no shot at, like, living or being alive. So Louis takes her out. And then Lestat comes in and almost laughs at him, like, I knew I could make you kill, was the premise. And Louis runs away. But when he comes back, he finds out that Lestat brought the little girl back as a vampire. So now they're like a little trio. And Lestat likes to treat, Claudia. He likes to treat her like a child, even though years and years and years pass, decades and decades and decades. And she obviously doesn't grow physically, but she has grown, as far as like being around. She gets sick of it. She's trying to rebel. And she convinces Louis almost to rebel against Lestat. Like, look, this fucker made us this way, and we're not going to deal with this. We're not going to go down like this. And that's what happened. They attack him, and they escape, and Lestat comes back and finds them. And this is something that kind of keeps happening. And even throughout the end of the movie. Now, unfortunately, Claudia dies in this movie. Spoiler alert. But she dies, and after that point, Brad Pitt's character, Louis, he loses a lot of his feelings and kind of wanders the earth, and eventually, he winds up in the 1980s, and then that's when he ends up interviewing with this guy, and he tells him his story. He's kind of a broken vampire. At the end, Lestat comes back, he gets the interviewer. The story continues, all right? Even though I've said all this, I give you an abridged version. If you haven't seen this movie, something like trying to describe The Departed or like The Godfather. You could sum it up, but dude, I'm giving you breadcrumbs here.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
So, Mark, initial questions here. Was this your first time seeing this movie?
Yes.
Okay. What are your initial thoughts? What were you thinking? What comes across?
It's a very rich story. It's very long, 2 hours. But it's a very theatrical acting type of movie, which I like. And it's interesting. It's a different kind of vampire movie. It's not your typical vampire. Like when you think of vampires, these aren't probably the ones that come to your mind. But they're more realistic vampires, I think, which is nice. So it wasn't a bad movie. It's very, like I said before in the beginning, it's a great movie to watch with your significant other, if they like that stuff, so you can get your little bit of horror in there, and they can get their little bit of love and drama or whatever the hell else is in this movie.
They say that's why the ladies are, the vampire movies get them there, because it's like, vampire can't get you pregnant.
No, but I mean, vampires are just seductive in nature. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of moaning. There's a lot of, seductive scenes in here.
Give me that blood.
Give me that blood. I mean, when the vampire first bites a girl, she's like, ah. has some kind of orgasm or something. So who doesn't want who wouldn't get slipping wet to that?
Yep.
I don't know. I think that's why they like when you bite their neck a little bit. Not hard, but I think that's where it comes from.
The vampires, dude.
Yep. But it's a great story. I mean, I like the story a lot. It's a very rich story, so it's good to watch.
And talk about casting. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
it's a lot of big people.
You got superstar people in here, and it was 1994, so it wasn't when they were. I mean, they were well known, of course, but it's not like how they were today. So they had the opportunity to get all these people in here.
Yeah, I mean, Kirsten Dunst was like, as a kid actor, amazing.
Yeah.
Like her performance was like out of this world. She was screaming, she was yelling, you believed her. And then she like tricked you. Like you thought she was like old. Like eventually you thought she was an old vampire. Like you're like, oh man. It was just so a level of like maturity on her part. Like that's a hard role to act, to go from like a small child like mama, like by your mother's side, to like yelling and slitting throats and just tearing down people. Like she was killing people, dude.
Yeah.
Like it was weird. Usually in a movie when someone grows up or has a transition, they actually grow up. She did, but there was I don't know, it's just a hard thing to do for a child actor. I mean, sometimes you get the Cujo effect. The kid got the point across, but
No
not all
shit,
of them
man.
are A+ actors.
No, she at one point she made you believe that she was a grown woman in a little kid's body.
Yeah.
Did a good job at it. I mean, sitting here manipulating Louis to kill the other guy, a menacing plan that only a hardcore, cold-hearted bitch could do, which half of them are, but at least half of them are.
Mark's
about.
upset today. I don't know what's wrong with Mark. Mark has like been very angry.
No, I'm not angry.
Yes.
I'm not angry.
I'm not angry. Everyone.
But I tell you what, after watching this movie, one realistic thing they did portray that I liked a lot is how easily 17 and 1800 buildings can catch on fire. They just fucking engulf, and it makes sense. I'm sitting here thinking, I was like,
oil lamps.
I know. I was like, how did more fires not happen like this? There's oil lamps everywhere. You're getting drunk at the saloon. You come by, you can't see shit. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
How are we? I can't see in my house. Here, take this Molotov cocktail, and it will light up your whole home.
Yes.
Just don't
when
drop
everything's made of wood.
Yeah, just don't drop it.
I remember one of the fires, the fire department came. It's just a horse and buggy with like a 5-gallon jug or some shit of
You're
water.
like,
I was
"You're
like,
not
that
doing
ain't gonna help, bro. Your whole town's gonna fucking engulf in flames.
Little rascal show up to put out the fire. Yeah, dude, that's not working at all.
No.
That is not working.
No.
Yeah, that must have sucked back then.
Dude, oh my God, no plumbing. Good God.
What a time to be alive.
That would suck.
That would be the only cool part about being a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, not the only cool part, I guess I would say, but like just seeing how technology has just advanced. Like, bro, you went from like that, and now you're like walking around, cars are going all over, you're recording on a tape recorder. Things have changed.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get away being a vampire back then than it would be now.
Yeah, but like, what are they gonna do? They can't hold you in a cell, dude.
No.
You're gonna get out.
Yeah. I didn't like that they couldn't turn into bats.
That is, yeah, that's the.
Come on, man. You gotta let them turn into something. But they weren't. That's what made them more realistic vampires. So that's what makes it a more believable story.
Yeah. The 90s produced some like beautiful vampire movies. Even like Francis Ford Coppola's, Dracula.
Yeah.
That was good, but it was very elegant.
Yeah, elegant vampires were in at that time, I believe.
Yeah, there's different waves of them. And then like the late 90s, it gave us like the Blade vampires and like Gangrel and the Brood from WWF.
Yep.
We had like the ones in sunglasses that were in the club. But we had these guys first in the 90s.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's fine. And then, in the 2000s, we got kind of like the Twilight vampires. They were kind of dressed like Disney Channel kids.
Yeah, that's how it works. I like the fact that they did this. They made the process of turning somebody into a vampire different. Because, I mean, the general public believes that once you get bit by a vampire, you're going to turn into a vampire, right? That's the general belief, I believe. Not for most of us who are horror fans and all that stuff. You know the whole rules. But I'm saying just general public, you get bit by a vampire, you become a vampire, right? No. This movie, you can get bit by a vampire and, you know, pretty much die on the verge of death if they stop sucking until your heart stops. That was the key they said. He's like, well, don't do it till the heart stops, right? But how to turn one is you have to fucking bite them, and then you have to slit your own blood and make them drink your blood. That's how they turn. And the whole process of becoming a vampire was cool too. Like your immortal body dies, and you wake up, and then everything's beautiful. I thought that was cool. The vampire vision. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But one thing they good. He said, you know, crosses. I like looking at crosses in the interview. And he asked him. He's like, what about the stake through the heart thing? What about the garden? Oh, none of that. That's all folk tales. But coffins, however, are required. They still kept coffins in there.
Yeah. They end up burying them alive, the group of vampires. I left a part of that out of the story, too, that they do end up... Brad Pitt, or I'll say Louis, he assumes that, you know, he's the only vampire alive. Him and Claudia are the only vampires alive. So he just wanders the earth. And they end up finding other vampires and end up getting into some shit, end up getting into a skirmish. Isn't great. And that's how Claudia ends up dying. Yeah. You know.
But Bradley Pitts came out with a badass. It made the scythe look like an awesome weapon.
Dude, he did have a scythe.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
And it was a badass weapon.
Beyond.
We need to bring scythes back.
Yeah, man.
Badass fucking weapon, dude.
He was just mowing through.
Oh, yeah. He was fucking kicking ass.
He, like, thirded somebody. Cut a third of somebody off. Like, just...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was very nice. Very nice. And it was cool because the flames behind him. It was badass, dude.
Dude.
How could you not appreciate that whole fucking ordeal?
The guy that he cut a third off of, that vampire Santiago, he had the funniest laugh.
I know, I was going to say that shit. It's like an old fucking sitcom. Ha-ha!
Fucking Wario or something, bro. Like, what the hell, man? Every time he would do it, I would laugh. You're fucking watching Inspector Gadget cartoon or something. You'll never catch me.
Oh, man, that's exactly what it is. But let's get into a little segment called What Do You Know, so we can figure out more things about this movie, please.
Let's do it.
Hey, welcome to the What Do You Know here. This is a segment here where we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie here. You know, the interview of the vampire guy. So this is what's going to go down here. We're going to tell you something we know about this movie. Now you may know what we know, you may not know what we know. What do you know? We know you're going to have a we know-gasm. You don't know, we know. You better find out what we know, and you can have a we know-gasm too. Everybody's included, so don't feel left out. Some people might, you know, get sticky pants before the others, but everybody's going to have to do the laundry later because we're about to hit you with some facts that you don't know about this movie. So why don't you tell me something that you may or may not know about this movie?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a fact about this movie. I'm going to tell you a couple of things here.
That's what you're supposed to do.
So this was a successful movie here. It was very successful, and on top of that, as we was talking about, there's many vampire movies in the 90s that come out. And Bram Stoker's Dracula came out before this, and that was a really big fucking movie. I mean, they had a lot of people in there. Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves. Okay, I mean, it's a lot of people. This movie, Interview with the Vampires, it beat it at the box office with the money. It beat it. It was actually the most successful vampire movie at the box office at all time. That was until Van Helsing came out.
Van Helsing was a good movie.
It was, but this is still technically the highest rated R vampire movie at the box office.
Very nice.
So, here's something else that's a little fucking funny for you.
Okay.
Do you know about Thomas Cruise?
Uh-huh.
Thomas Cruise Control is not a very tall guy. He's not a tall guy. He's a short guy. He's a shorter fella. All right.
I'm gonna be calling him that forever now. Thomas Cruise Control. Go ahead.
So I don't know his exact height, but he's a short fella.
Yeah.
So for a lot of scenes in this movie, they had to get like a little stool like an elevator thing. He had to stand on a platform, if you will. Yeah, he was standing on a platform, so he didn't feel so short next to the other guys.
He's probably got them shoes with like the 5-inch heels in them. That you ever see those commercials?
Yeah, he's got to feel tall.
It don't matter. He's a fucking billionaire. You know, all these ladies out here say they want a 6-foot-tall man. Well, that don't matter.
Well, you don't want Tom Cruise. He's crazy.
That don't matter when your pockets are bulging. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but he's into that.
Fucking broads. Anyway.
He's into that Scientology. He's
yeah,
crazy.
Everybody's got problems. Anyway, here's my fact. So, if you notice, on the vampires, their veins are bulging out, and their makeup, they got their veins out and stuff. It looks really cool. You want to know how they did that? That wasn't by guessing. They went to the extra fucking mile. So, every vampire in this movie had to go through vampire makeup. You want to know how they did that? They made them hang upside down for 30 minutes. What happens when you hang upside down? What happens when you're upside down?
I usually jerk off.
Really?
No, that's too much.
Does it make it more intense?
No, I don't know. Maybe.
I guess it would be hard to get a boner because all your blood would be going the other way, not towards your penis. Mm-hmm. It would be very flaccid.
Oh, you gotta concentrate.
Be like a noodle.
Yeah.
Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that's how they did it though.
The blood goes to the wrong head. It goes to your other head when you hang upside down.
Exactly. That's what this did here. So they made the actors hang upside down for 30 minutes so all the blood went to the head. What happens when all the blood goes to your head? Your veins start bulging out because there's so much blood there. So what they did was they traced their actual veins. So those are actual veins, outlines on their fucking face. Those aren't guessed. And then they put, little translucent skin or whatever to make them more like pale and stuff, and of course contacts and all that stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool.
That is a cool fact.
That, you got them hanging upside down and fucking doing makeup and tracing their veins.
Yeah, it looks realistic. Looks good.
It looks very realistic.
I like that.
I liked it too. That's why I told you.
That's some behind the scenes stuff right there.
Absolutely. I bet you didn't know that.
No, they didn't.
No.
Nope. So that's all I got. You got anything else for them?
No, I think, upside down boners and box office. Yeah, I think everything was good there. I mean, I think everybody can go to sleep happy.
Yeah. Thomas Cruise Control on platforms. Think about that. You know what I find kind of funny? Kind of funny?
I don't want to say. Just tell me.
So, here's what I find kind of funny.
Okay.
Kirsten Dunst made this movie, but her parents wouldn't let her watch it until she was older because obviously there's some sexual parts and things in this movie, and it makes sense. But could you imagine doing a movie that was really successful and everybody applauded you for, and you couldn't watch it? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? You're part of this red carpet thing, big everybody. Oh my God, you're so great.
You did so great. I have no fucking idea.
This was so wonderful. You're a brilliant actor. Can I just watch it then?
No.
No, you're gonna have to wait. So I thought that was interesting, but good on her parents, for being parents.
Right.
For being parents. I mean, I don't know her parents. So I don't know. They could have been crazy.
They probably banked off that.
Yeah, the child actor thing is weird. I don't know. Some parents might be genuine. Maybe your kid wants to, but that's a little weird to me. It's a little weird to me. I think sports dads are that way too. I love sports, but I never want to be Tiger Woods' dad, or the guy at practice. I'm telling you, I've seen sports dads, their kid strikes out, and they're like, idiot. I'm like, bro, relax.
They're trying to get that paycheck, man.
Even if it's select ball, it's they're 13. Bud, you ever strike out? He swung. Let him go. Relax, dude.
Yeah, I know.
If he punched the umpire, or if he cried, or if he walked off and he didn't try, or if he quit on the team, yeah, you can call him a little idiot. You can yell at him. But some of these sports parents gross me out. I could imagine in the acting world, it's probably similar.
I'm sure it's probably worse.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of this movie?
Well, if I really had to pick, my favorite part of this movie would be after Louis and Claudia escape, and they just they're not like romancing, they're not banging, like, cause he treats her like a child, but he does love her. It is like part of his heart. It's not like a romantic thing, like a fucking thing, but it is weird. It does like make you think for a second, but then after a while, I mean, they spend like a long time together. How long your grandma and grandpa married? Like 70 years or some shit? Like, they were triple that. They were together a long time, just them two, and they cared for one another. But they were doing their thing, and then Lestat comes back, and he starts playing the piano. That makeup on Tom Cruise was incredible makeup work. Incredible. It was not only scary, because Tom Cruise, great actor, he's a little weird, he's a crazy guy, but in this particular moment, I thought that this was the scariest version of him, because he was, even though he wasn't all the way back to health, so he looked like a rotting creature, he was scary. And I don't know, he just stopped them in their tracks, and they weren't expecting that. And the way the movie paces, you're not expecting it either. Like, maybe he would come back, but not like that. That was, you're like, uh-oh.
No, you fed him to crocodiles. Like, who comes back from that?
Yeah.
He came back as he's like, the alligator's blood and the lizards. It was good blood, but he looked like a reptile, so that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like a reptile vampire.
So he started, he got back. But I really enjoyed that part, personally. What about you, Mark? Do you have a favorite part of Interview with the Vampire?
Yep, it's a very small part, but it's hilarious. It's the part that made me laugh the most. If you're listening to the show, you know that's what my favorite parts are. It's when they first go to America, and it's the three of them. And it's when Claudia looks up in the window and sees, like, that naked broad, like, washing herself. Tom Cruise's character just walks behind her, looks up like, ooh, that's some good cream. What the fuck? That's some good cream. Say that to your girl when she's naked.
Some good cream right there.
Just go in there and just like, yeah, that's some good cream right there. Who the fuck says that?
Apparently there's like
hilarious.
There's a white basketball player, college player right now, and he wears the rec specs, and they call him Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's a white guy, and
yeah.
I don't know why that's very funny to me, but that was one of those ones where I just had to put my phone down. Like, I hate the internet and people and just how funny the world is. Like, there's like, no matter how bad of a day you're happening, if you look for it, there is comedy in this world, and there's people trying to deliver it.
Yeah.
But here's something that I think needs to be spoke about this flick. Not only, Interview with the Vampire has an incredible cast. No doubt about it. And the guy doing the interviews with Brad Pitt in present day was Christian Slater. And Christian Slater, especially, early 90s, I mean, he was a very big actor. He did an incredible job. There's no wrongdoing on his part. But he wasn't the first guy they had for that. You know that? I don't know if I talked to you about this before. Do you remember River Phoenix, like Stand By Me, Joaquin Phoenix's older brother? Well, unfortunately, he passed away, but he was the guy that was he had the role to be the interviewer, the lawyer. I think he was a lawyer, wasn't he? He was a lawyer that was interviewing him. I don't know if he was a lawyer or
I don't
what.
think he was a lawyer. I don't know what he was.
He was just interviewing him.
Yeah, he was just some guy interviewing him. Maybe he worked for the press. I don't know.
So, undoubtedly, Christian Slater, an Interview with the Vampire, his performance, I don't think it could get better. There was nothing wrong with that, but the back of your mind kind of wonders what the movie would have looked like with River Phoenix in that role.
Yeah.
And I know that's happened to a few different movies, and most times I try to say, it is what it is, and that's the movie we got, and that's how I feel with this one. But River, he died so young, and it's like, this would have been a perfect role for him. He would have knocked that out of the park. But I don't know, things just happen that way. It's just, if we would have passed away that young, nobody would really see anything from us. So I'm at least happy that we can go back and watch his movies and stuff. But great actor. Family of great actors.
Yeah.
Walken's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does good movies too.
Yes, he does.
So we had to mention that because at the end of the credits, this movie is dedicated to River Phoenix. So people watching it might be like, what? He's not even in this movie. It doesn't make sense.
Well, he was supposed to be.
He was, and I thought that was nice of them too to throw his name out there. And sometimes, with authors, when their books get made into movies, they don't always love the adaptation. Obviously, King didn't love The Shining, Kubrick's version, and I mean, whatever. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion and what they feel. Anne Rice saw this movie and loved it so much. I believe it was like Vanity Fair. She took a 2-page article out just to proclaim it as a masterpiece, and say how great it was. I was like, man, it doesn't always happen like that, but that would have to feel good as a director. And really, I'm gonna be for real honest with you. I don't know how the hell I feel about this, dude. I'm just gonna say this real quick. So Neil Jordan is the director of this film, and he's done quite a few other things. But I noticed in his biography that he was a supporter of Roman Polanski not being put in jail. Roman Polanski directed Rosemary's Baby, a few other things, and he also statutory raped a 13-year-old girl, and he fled the country to flee from punishment. And he supported him, and he supports him to not be arrested. There's a few people that have put their name out there. What? 13, bro? 13? Any minor is fucked, but, a 17-year-old that lied or something, okay, whatever, you can understand. 13? That's a... So, I don't know. So, this director who made Interview with the Vampire, it's a great movie, but I don't... Just off the... If that basis is true, I don't know the dude, but if that basis is true, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he's probably a pedo that hasn't been caught yet.
That's weird, dude.
Yeah.
Why would you openly support that? Why would you openly put your name out there, bro?
I don't know.
That's weird, dude.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
I support R. Kelly and what he did. What? Why would you? Huh? That's a weird hill to die on, bud. People see you saying that, right?
You hear yourself when you speak it out loud, right?
Yeah.
You understand what you just said.
Even if he was your friend, and I mean, I don't know how, but even if he was,
doesn't matter. I don't care how much of a friend of mine you are. If you did that and it's proven. Now, if it's alleged,
no, it's proven.
Okay, then it's proven. Then you're a fucking pedo. Get the fuck away.
Yeah, dude.
You gotta go. You gotta go someplace where you cannot be seen anymore. But
that's why we don't cover Rosemary's Baby. It's the same reason why we haven't covered Jeepers Creepers. You bang kids or you mess around with children, we're not covering your flicks up in here. I mean, I'm not saying we got the biggest pool in the whole entire world, but I do think some people watch these movies that we talk about week after week, and whatever little bit of revenue, I don't care if it was 25 cents. I'm not giving 25 cents or pushing 25 cents towards their profits. Nope. Nope. Go. If you were to watch Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, I'm not saying they're bad flicks, but if you want to go watch them, go pirate them sons of bitches. All right? Go pirate them. I support the open piracy of them.
That's right, bitch. We might be two degenerates down here in the sloppy pod, but god damn it, we have morals.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We do.
You want to rate this movie now?
I think it's time.
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah!
Yeah. Yes. This is the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. This is the one and only one of a kind Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. There's no other rating like this in the universe, and you were listening to it now. We are giving you the best score possible. This is the most educated score as a horror movie, not a horror movie in general, so keep that in mind. And that was developed by Christian Ramey, your very scary movie companion. If you don't know what's going on here, we're going to do this in a series of 4 categories. 3 of the categories are worth 3 points. Last category is worth 1 point for a total of
10 points altogether.
That's correct. And if you're sitting here, hey, Ozark, what are the categories? Shut the fuck up and let me get to them. Don't worry, Daddy's got you, okay? Daddy's here to make you aware of your surroundings. So let's get into the first category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is casting. It's a 3. We got it.
Yeah. Look, don't cut. Your attitude all show, Mark, has been a little aggressive and a little too much, okay? You keep that for out of the show. The show deserves talking.
God.
We're not gonna. You need to chill. A little
Keep
bit.
it what?
Just chill.
Tell me
Just
about
chill.
the casting
Just chill.
and why it's a 3.
Just chill. Yeah, it's a 3. Not only is it a 3, because I don't know how much he had to spend to get all this done. Because at this point, Tom Cruise was an A-list actor. I mean, he was throughout the 80s.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt was starting to be. Not sure when Legend of the Fall had dropped at that point, but what did this cost? And like Christian Slater's like your actor that gets like 8 minutes of screen time. Like he's not even in the whole damn movie.
It had to at least be close to half the budget.
Antonio Banderas was a vampire. Like what? Like
Yeah.
So 3, 100%.
God damn. So that's 3 out of 10 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the second category here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is kills.
You know, I hadn't really thought about this. They're pretty mild, but there is some slicing and dicing later in the movie, like the vampire kills are. But then we get some sickle kills.
There's some slice and dicing. There's some burnings. There's some just regular vampire violent kills. There is sunlight deaths. There is there any other kind?
Aside from like the vampire death, yeah, you said vampire deaths.
Yeah, the vampire deaths are everywhere. I mean, he just takes out like the whole bunch of them with flames and shit. There's a lot of burnings. Somebody gets eaten by alligators, but he comes back. So I don't think that counts.
It almost feels like a 2. Like, I mean, it's like a 1.5 or a 2, but that's a wide variety.
I'd say 1.5, just because there's a lot of them, but they're basic.
Yeah, not too brutal.
They're basic and quick. I mean, they're just quick death, get the point across. They're not like...
They're kind of romantic kills. They're elegant. They're not. They're not brutal and like there's some gore, but they're sensual.
Yeah, but there's a lot of death in it, so...
Yeah, so 1.5. That sounds nice. They're right in the middle.
Some of them are quite violent too. So that's 4.5 so far here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the third, final 3-point category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is fear.
That's a tough one too. Not scary to adults. I think adults would.
This is just like a love story.
Yeah, I think adults would fall more into the romance of it.
Yeah.
Creep out some kids. I'm really thinking half a point. I don't mean to be unfair here, but I'm thinking a half a point on fear. It's not too terrifying. There's some creepy points in it, but I think you'd have to be kind of young. I think everybody else would get sucked into it.
Yeah,
The story's so good.
Generally, every horror movie really has a 0.5 automatically, just because of the kid factor and the young people factor. But there's some creepy parts, but it's like elegant type creepy. It's not really fear, but I can imagine some child being scared of Tom Cruise when he comes back as a lizard vampire or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I don't like it. Turn it off.
he's gonna come back. So that's 5 out of 10 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the final 1-point category for half point each here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is rewatchability.
Now I'm gonna tell you that I don't always seek this film out. And if I were to think about it, I'd be like, oh yeah, like kind of like the Anne Rice movies, the Anne Rice stories, kind of like the romantic vampires, right? And that's how my brain thinks of it initially. And I don't always sit down with that. That's not always what I'm in the mood to watch. But every time I do rewatch these, I'm always happy with them. And there's no denying, this woman can write a great story. These guys did an incredible movie. All in all, I can't really think of a way to say that it isn't rewatchable. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to think of like, even though I'm not a big romance guy or that kind of thing, I could still rewatch the hell out of this anytime. Not October, like anytime. It's just good. And like you said, you can watch it with like a girl or other people.
That's the thing for me. I mean, I'll give it a rewatchability point too, but it's like one of those in your pocket kind of rewatchable movies. Like you hold it in your pocket for a certain situation, especially with if you're with a girl. In my perspective, this is a perfect movie to put on for them.
Yeah, you see it in the queue. You're like, oh yeah,
oh,
you ever
seen this? Now, well, you better strap in there, toots, because this is gonna be a roller coaster emotion for your ovary ass.
I'm gonna bite your neck.
Yeah.
That's what you tell her.
But it is good. But it's also just a rich. It's just a good movie all around. And good movies are rewatchable, especially if they have a great story. It's hard to not rewatch a movie that has a great story. That's there's no stupid twist or anything in it, so it's very rewatchable. So that is a total of 6 out of 10 for Interview with the Vampire. Here.
Wow.
On the Sloppy Horror Podcast, right back up in your ass.
The 80s are winning by half a point.
Holy shit.
I mean, we're not going to give you like a weekly update on the decades, but just obviously the only 2 movies that we've got in the pocket. So, out of these 2, Ghostbusters beats Interview with the Vampire by half a point. Now, once again, boys and girls, you might be hearing 6.5 and 6 out of 10. And you're saying, what the hell? But my friend Mark already has told you that this is a horror movie rating. This isn't, you ask me what both movies are, they're 10 out of 10 movies. They're excellent. But if we're basing this off a horror movie, we have to base it off the horror movie components. Casting does matter. Is it scary? That's kind of the key component of a horror movie. Is it scary? Does it scare you? And what are the deaths looking like? Because if we're not dying in the movie, then what are we really that afraid of? Like, it might be a suspenseful, but if I'm not fearing my own life, it's not truly terrifying. And Mark and I are generous enough to only keep 1 point at the rewatchability, and that's not even a true opinion all the way. That's like, do we find it rewatchable? Because I'll vote yes, even if it's not rewatchable for me, but I think it is a rewatch. But in general, we keep that low, personal opinion. We're rating this the right way. So don't question it. This is what it is. But as of now, the 1980s are ahead by half a point. Ghostbusters beats this round. So way to go, Busters.
They just busted all over us with that score, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. So they won that round. But
it was a close one.
We have all kinds of years that we're going to jump into.
Yes.
We do?
Yes.
I'm trying to think of what is the next round that we're going to jump into, because obviously,
well, just give the year if you figure that out. Don't give the movies, but give the year.
They've already got the movies.
Oh.
That's the whole premise of the season. We're giving them the movies. They know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You know what?
What?
I think we should do 88 and 98.
Okay.
And
the idiots.
Eights. I ate it.
It's the 80s. It's the 8s.
So,
8-ball corner pocket.
Elm Street 4, Halloween H2O.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an intense battle.
I don't want those to be the last. I don't want to feel like we're saving the 2 slasher guys for the last. Let's go get those guys out of the way. Get them out of the way. The 90s and 80s, I felt were very comparable with their number 1 at the box office, even though Ghostbusters and Interview with the Vampire are indeed horror elements. There's some romance in there. There's some comedy in there. They deviate. They're a blend.
Comedy trumped it, though, a little bit.
Sure.
In the eyes of the horror rating. But
yeah, and romance kind of trumped it in the vampire. So
that's true.
Which is fine. Not taken away from a good time.
It's good.
But we're getting to the point of what's real here. And I think jumping right into those slashers, I think we're going to jump the scores. And I'm not, once again, we're not going biased, but the fear meter in Freddy and Michael maybe not at the highest these days, just because they're kind of pop culture icons. So that will be affected into the score, but kills definitely going up. That number is going up. So, but maybe down in the casting, maybe down at, we'll see.
We will see. We'll cross that road when we get to it.
Mm-hmm. Any of you guys out there born in 98 or 88? Interested to see. There's got to be a few.
Weren't you born in 88?
I'm 89. Feeling fine.
89.
Tell me this coincidence, though. Like, Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, only directed one movie in his whole life. And he was kind of, as he says, he was a hired gun. They like, hey, you want to direct this movie? And it's a horror movie, 976 Evil. It came out the day I was born. The exact day, not like, it shares my birthday. No, the exact day that movie was released was the day that I was released.
Huh.
Interesting.
Wonder if any movies were released on my birthday.
Probably.
I don't know. I'll have to Google it later.
I was born on Good Friday.
Were you?
Yep.
Huh. That didn't have much effect on your life, did it?
Didn't. It wasn't so good afterwards.
No. I get tornadoes on my birthday a lot.
Yeah, what's really funny, especially in my house, like all my kids but one of my kids has a summer birthday, but everybody else, including my wife and you, like we're all like Easter birthdays, and it's all like bang, 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 bang.
Well, then
that
that means that you enjoy getting freaky around the 4th of July.
That's true, dude. I do.
Yeah.
I love Jaws.
Did you ever do that? Like, I want you, if you're listening right now, I want you to think of your birthday, okay? And then I want you to go 9 months back, and then you'll see what kind of holiday banging person you are.
Yep, that's what your parents did.
Yep, they got freaky around the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Fireworks going off, hot dogs.
Yep.
America.
It's perfect time, dude.
The spirit of America runs through my veins.
It's like a bald eagle coursing through.
Hell yeah.
That's hilarious to think about, though. It really is funny. So another big reason we picked these 2 decades, because I know a lot of the listeners of this show and ourselves were born in both of these decades. So it's only right. And that's not to say that we can't do, there's all, like, I mean, we've done the repeat seasons. We did the rehab season. And if this turns out really well, who knows, man? Who knows? We could take the 2000s versus the 2010s. We can take the 60s versus the 70s. We can do all kinds. It's out there. It's out there for you to take.
The possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Well, that's another one in the books, boys and girls. We have 84, 94 out the way. We've got some more selections to do. Next week, we're going to hop into the 88 and then the 98.
D8s.
Yeah.
D8s.
I don't know. I think for these movies, the slasher franchises, as they go on and they get a bunch of sequels and, you know, people are like, they're corny, they're hokey. It's funny, though, whenever I release any content involving any one of those movies, it skyrockets because people love those movies. They just grew up with them. You can't replace what you grew up with. And it's not always, you didn't always grow up with great stuff. Things don't always age well. I hate when people don't act like they act like things didn't age. They're just like, oh, this is horrible. You're like, yeah, but when it came out, this was really good. That was scary. So we're gonna show some love. Shine a little light.
Shine a little love up in my body, baby.
All right, guys, well, you stay out of trouble. And until the next time, you keep it sloppy. Put it on your mama.
Yeah, that's right. And get a towel afterwards. You don't want it to crust up.